So this video is about martial yours. You do the wordplay for martial arts. Is martial yours a way of life? Martial arts are a way of life, not just some meaningless activity. And of course, it has to do with marshaling things in order. Martial yours. God's well, think of it as being healthy, right? Being sick versus being healthy. It's a healthy to believe in God. It makes you mentally sick to be some kind of adverse person. Image, imitation. So the highest form of respect, or however the saying goes, is imitation, right? So wannabe, one obi. Do the wordplay, right? One obi, obi-wan. Imari is a Japanese word that has to do with porcelain vases with floral designs. It goes back to the rosette, the design of the leopards, and so on. Imaginary, right? Imaginary. These words aren't a coincidence. There's a long reason. It's a long story why that is. The Kwa language of the Niger-Congo people, and we'll get into that in a second. Kwacha is a word from Zambia meaning dawn. Okay, incantation. Incantation, right? If you want it to work, your magic to work, you can't treat people like myself the way they've been treated. That's where the sorcery, the black magic comes in, right? Source Airy, the source of jealousy and hatred, is in the greatest embodiment of Haru, the hero, which is found in Airy. And of course, if you start feeling some hatred and resentment to that effect, which is unfounded, right? Versus indignation, righteous indignation, and ignite, or I night. You must really wonder where that's coming from. What is the source of that? Okay. Illume is similar to plume. I'm not quite sure why that is. There's a manly P hall. It could very well be connected to apis, or apis. 1644, Illuminati, an illuminating device or substance. Okay, illumination. Okay, illuminate. To subject to radiation, to brighten, supply with light, to enlighten spiritually or intellectually, to set alight, to make clear, elucidate, right? Elucidate, no Lucifer. Decorate, decorate. Now, of course, there are way too many connections for this to be a coincidence, and I'm piecing these things together like a puzzle, doing the wordplay, and it goes back to phonetics and so on. Illuminatus, Eli, min ate us, and we'll get into what Eli means in a second. Illumine, mind, mining. Illuminism, personal enlightenment, not accessible to mankind in general. So it's for secret societies. It's part of their belief. Illusion, action of mocking to mock. So illusion isn't just making things that are fake and artificial. It is also for the purpose of mocking. So you have people who are jealous of you and trying to throw you off because they deep down inside know that you are superior to them. That's part of what acting in illusion is about. It's about mocking that which you know is superior to make it, to dwarf, to make it seem smaller, to vamp, to fabricate and invent so that you're in the spotlight, right? So it's also a misleading image, right? That's what an illusion is. Think about it. It's misleading. So there's a leader versus misleader, and if you're an illusionary, if you deal in illusion, you're a misleader, right? You deal in magic tricks. It really should go without saying, right? But unfortunately, it doesn't in this depraved society that we live in. Illusionary, right? Illusionary, trying to imitate Airy, mock Airy, mislead the image of Airy. Illusory, L-U-sorry, means deceptive. L as I on Airy, illusionary. Illusionism, to create the illusion of reality, especially in a work of art, right? Illusionism, very close to illuminism. Illusionist, sleight of hand performer. Elusive and illusive, illusory, which means deceptive again. So there's a connection there between elusive and elusive with an E. Illustrate, to purify, make bright, the action of making something dear by serving as an example to demonstrate, to show clearly. So if I'm going to illustrate, I'm going to make something clear, right? Illustration, to make illustrious, honored, or distinguished, a picture that makes something clear. So if I'm illustrating something, even if I'm an illusionist, doing illusory activities and illusions, okay, I'm honoring that thing. I'm saying you are superior, and I'm going to try to pretend to be you. So, for example, if someone says, I'm the top martial artist, and they can't do what I can do, and they hide, which obviously they have to, they're basically bestowing greater honors upon me. It's just like when Christ was crucified, he was made more whole from the act of being shunned and people mimicking him. The Antichrist ends up glorifying Christ more in this sense. I hope you can understand what I'm saying. So idol, vamp, dwarf, and Jordan, Mixwell are connected. So idol, vamp, and dwarf. We'll get to that in a second. Rosary, right? Rose-airy. A lot of you can't understand why this is, the wordplay is the way it is. It has to go with airy, and I'll put it at the end of this video. It has to do with airy being the Egyptians. I have a picture in my book where the Igbos are wearing white, kilt, and they're holding spears, and they're in boats, okay? And this has to do with their culture. And the outline of the Igbo nation upside down is a face us. And my ancestor, part of my royal lineage, faced the Europeans when they came around. The flow of the river, the wolf in sheep's clothes, the invader, right? Darth Vader, invader. All right, so rosary, imagination. I, magi, nation, okay? I, magi, in a shun. Voodoo, hoodoo, you do, because vous in French is you do. So I, magi, in a shun. Of course, there were people who were black who were also jealous of the Pharaoh and sought to betray him. Jafar-like motherfuckers, so to speak. Abstract, Obi's tract, and Obi's trace. There's a connection there. Incogitant, thoughtless, inconsiderate, incontinent, lacking restraint, right? Now that we've gone into the continent as settlers, the desert people, the sand people, Astarte, Asar, Set, and Haru, right? Set is trying to usurp him any way he can, so he starts sleeping with the royal bloodline to do so. And of course, there's a connection to that and the British that is unavoidable. And the red is the color of the hair, right? William and Prince Harry, right? William, the will. Okay, Kwa language, Niger, Congo, right? Black Sea in Europe, I believe, Caspian Sea and Red Sea. There's a connection with the sea peoples. Idiopathic, arising spontaneously or from an obscure cause. To believe that mankind came randomly is idiopathic, which is worse than psychopathic. Idiosyncrasy, hypersensitive, okay, to food, for example. Peculiar habit of structure, synchronism, which goes back to photophobia, which is hypersensitivity to light, which they have induced in me. Okay. Idol comes from idiom, I believe that's what it says, which means phantom, idios, form. Pretender, imposter, false conception. Idol isn't just a meaningless piece of something. It is a false idea, a false conception. I'd go as far as to say purposely false for the point of usurping the Pharaoh who was looked up to in truth. He was the hero, he was the foundation, he was the capstone, the alpha and the omega, the beginning of religion. Rejoin, right? To rejoin, and the end. He's the foundation, the African foundation, and he's the capstone. And so these people are imitating and pretending and using illusion, okay? Pretenders, idolaters, one that admires intensely and blindly a one that is not a subject of worship, right? You're an idolater if you look up to celebrities and not Chukwuemeka and Jesus and God, okay? Idio, one own separate, distinct, right? So an idea, that's idio, and it goes back to idiot. Idyll, idyll, like idophallic or something like that. Descriptive work in poetry. Ideal, lacking practicality, standard of identity, lacking practicality and a standard of. Identity matrix, okay? A square matrix with ones along the principal diagonal and O's elsewhere. The matrix in the math is part of this. I'm not a big fan of it myself. You can look into it more yourself, right? The magic square, the matrix, and so on. Okay, illustrious, El lost, Re us. Okay, so they say once we've destroyed the idea of El, and not just, we've destroyed the spirit, the idea, the existence, the bloodline. Now they have to look up to us, right? Bitch shit, right? Bitch shit. Shining brightly with light, illustrious. Backwards is Sir, Cell, Light. Remember, the T is the plus, the M is the arc,